Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel and welcome to another makeup and horror movie Monday. Hope you're doing very well. So today we're back with another horror film during the whole of October, and as you can tell by the title, I'm going to be talking about Candyman, which is one of my favourite horror films ever. I think it's an extremely underrated horror film. It's just one that I grew up watching and it just stuck with me for so long. I'm wearing my Candyman t-shirt as well. This is from like an independent t-shirt company called Welcome to Horrorland. They're a British company as well. So what I'll do, I'll link their social media and their website in the description. This is not available anymore because they do new t-shirts every month, but I purchased this a few months ago and I've definitely worn it in some of my videos, but it's just one of the nicest t-shirts I own. It's basically this logo and on the back it's got Candyman written 5 times. So as per usual, I'm going to be talking about the film and putting on a full face of makeup. The makeup is always going to be kind of second to the film, but if I talk about some of the makeup, it'll be just me kind of like, oh, I'm just doing this, but yeah, let's get into the movie. And I'm very excited to talk about it because, like I mentioned, I grew up watching this film, again way too young. But you know, I think watching some films like this kind of at a safe point can kind of guide you into kind of films that you want to watch. Like when I was young, I watched a lot of horror films and I remember watching this. So this came out in '92. I definitely watched it much later than that. It's directed by Bernard Rose, who is a British director, but he actually stars in the film as well. The story, if you didn't know, is originally written by Clive Barker. So if you don't know who Clive Barker is, where have you been? If you call yourself a horror fan, you don't know who Clive Barker is, I think you need to check up on your horror knowledge. But yeah, Clive Barker is a writer and second kind of, yeah, he's a director as well. He directed but mostly wrote the first Hellraiser. He wrote Nightbreed and directed Nightbreed. He wrote Candyman, but it's called The Forbidden, so that's the original title for it. And that is actually part of a series of short stories. I haven't had a chance to read it, which is really frustrating because when I worked in a comic book shop, obviously they sold books as well. I think that print is not available unless I'm not right, but I haven't had a chance to read it and I really want to, because I think when it comes to short stories, obviously you're just getting the kind of quick version of what they made in the film. So I'm not sure how kind of close it is, but the whole kind of premise of the film is that you have the Candyman, who is played by Tony Todd, who is, for me, probably just like his perfect role, just amazing. He just looks extremely intimidating, extremely scary. And then you have Virginia Madsen, who plays Helen, and you don't see her a lot in movies these days, but she was well, the last thing I saw her in was in the Swamp Thing TV show, which is pretty cool. She was good in that. And what else she's been in? I mean, not anything that I know recently. But yeah, so you have her, which you have Helen, who is a student, and she kind of becomes very intrigued by urban legends. So her and her friend, they start to study around Candyman, so therefore they kind of find out about him. They kind of track down his kind of, I mean, because when it comes to urban legends, they're obviously, you don't think they're real, but when it comes to Candyman, there's like a whole background story and just so much about him. So Candyman was kind of a well-known pianist. I believe he was a pianist or he was a painter. He was someone, but I think he was kind of more known as a slave, to be honest. So he fell in love with essentially the wrong person. So obviously it was set during, well, his character is around the time of slavery. So he fell in love with a white woman whose father kind of found out about their relationship and kind of hunted him down tortured, killed him, saw off his hand, and fed him to some bees, basically. And therefore, the legend of him becomes apparent that he comes back to just, if you say his name 5 times in a mirror, he comes and kills you with his hook. And essentially, like, kills you with the bees as well. So where Helen kind of tracks down is somewhere called Cabrini Green, which is an area which is very kind of like urban and really like run down, very poor. And I believe that's kind of the place that you can kind of, I don't know, I can't remember. It's like the area where he was killed. Sorry if I'm wrong, but it's been a few months since I've seen this film, so it's trying to like come back to me. But Helen becomes extremely fixated with him, and she kind of starts seeing him everywhere, because he's essentially, he's not a ghost, but he's there. So he physically does kill people, and you know, she can physically see him because she thinks he's just a normal guy, but he's got this massive coat and he's got a bloody hook. So not many people walk around America with that, although these days, who knows. So yeah, she kind of becomes extremely fixated, and she starts to kind of like track down everything about him, and just trying to kind of get that connection, which, you know, spoilers, it kind of comes apparent that, you know, he becomes obsessed with her as well, because she is just someone who can't let go of the kind of the idea of him, and he becomes quite fixated on her as well. It's not like a love story at all, so don't think it's, if you haven't seen it, then obviously it's not a love story, or, you know, that I think it's just about, you know, it's kind of, he really reminds me of Dracula in the sense of he was killed for like love, and now he's kind of come back to seek vengeance, but not in the same way, obviously, because Dracula was, you know, his wife kind of killed herself, and, you know, he's trying to find his true love and stuff. But when it comes to Candyman, it's kind of, he was killed for being in love. And if I've made a weird analogy, sorry about that. I was just thinking about it when I was kind of thinking of how to outline what I'm saying about the film. But yeah, they essentially made like 2 more movies. I think, I know I've seen the second one. I didn't even realise there was a third one. But Tony Todd has played Candyman like 3 times now. It's kind of the whole sense of like Hellraiser, where you've got Doug Bradley as, you know, Pinhead, for all of those movies. And they are making, well, they've actually made a remake of Candyman, and the trailer looks really good. I think it is directed by Jordan Peele, or he has something to do with it. I can't remember, but the trailer is freaking awesome. But when it comes to this one, I just love how just Helen's obsession, because she has a husband at home who is having an affair with like a student, and she kind of finds out, but then doesn't really, she cares, but she doesn't really care that much, because she's fixated on this whole Candyman thing. And I just think the way that Tony Todd's character shows so much kind of sympathy in that sense, because obviously he was killed for falling in love with like the wrong person, and now he's kind of come to Helen, who is finding him, and she's kind of like his bride now, because again, bit of spoilers, but at the end she gets killed by this fire, and at the end she kind of becomes like a Bride of Frankenstein kind of thing, because she comes back to kind of kill her husband, which is one of the coolest scenes ever, because he's kind of his girlfriend, they're like moved in together, and he's obviously quite depressed and quite sad about what's happened to his wife, even though he's been cheating on her this whole time. But when he starts saying her name 5 times in the mirror, she like pops up and is like this kind of creature. It's kind of like a Candyman when she's got a hook as well, and she like kills him, and it's just a really cool scene. It's probably one of my favorite scenes in horror, because you just don't expect her to pop out, because he's saying like Helen, and then she just, yeah, she turns up like how you do with the Candyman, with the urban legend, where you're just in a mirror saying, if it's like the whole Bloody Mary thing, you say it 5 times and she appears, to kind of like kill you basically. But yeah, with that whole end scene, it really puts like an icing on the film. But when it comes to like the sequels, I don't think, well, the second one I've seen is obviously for me not as good as the first one. And I think with something like this, I think Clive Barker is just still quite connected to it, because with the Hellraisers, he lost so much interest after the third one. But once you kind of sell your baby, it goes, and it's kind of like Alan Moore, but that's a different kind of that's a different story. But I wanted to talk about Candyman just because it's a film that I feel, because the new one's going to be coming out, I don't know when it's coming out now. I think they might have delayed it because of this whole COVID thing. But it's a film that if you haven't seen it, it's very important to watch, because you know, it's like I said, like urban legends, but then again about kind of like obsession, and just like it's just got a lot of good gore in it. It's really like, there's one scene that really freaks me out, is when when Helen goes into, she kind of makes a friend in the flat, and this woman who's got a really young baby who wants to just do really well for her and her son, because they grow up in Cabrini Green, which is a really kind of like drug filled and just horrible kind of place to live in. And her son kind of goes missing, and you think, I initially thought the baby was dead in the cot. If you don't know what I'm talking about, please watch the film, then you'll know what I'm talking about. But it's just really an intense scene, because the wailing that the mum does, oh my god, it's such a kind of such a sad scene. But then obviously you find out the baby's not dead, it's just been kind of kidnapped by Candyman, which I find is quite weird, because because obviously he can physically kill people, but I just found it a little bit strange that he was able to take the baby. But I don't know if that's just part of like just how it works. But yeah, I don't really know much about how Candyman does his killing. I might ask him next time I see him, next time I say his name 5 times. But yeah, it's just, I think it's a great movie. I mean, if you haven't seen it, I'm just going to keep on saying that. If you haven't seen it, I really think you should. With the remake, I'm very excited to see it, because again, I'm never too happy with like remakes. Like the Nightmare on Elm Street one was pretty shit. The Friday the 13th ones, the Hellraiser one I haven't had a chance to see, even though I've heard it's pretty bad, which is to be expected. The version I'll show you guys that I love, this box, this kind of edition that I got. This is the Arrow edition. I think you can still buy it. I got it from H&V like a year or so ago. I have it on DVD as well, but for me, Blu-ray is probably going to be one of the best choices anyway. And it's kind of a special edition because you get all this kind of stuff in the back. You get like documentaries and everything. And there's actually a kind of documentary with Clive Barker as well, which is talking about The Forbidden, which is something I still need to really want to read. Like I've mentioned, I'm just going to put on some lipstick and I'll be right back. So I just put my lipstick on because I feel it wastes time just like sitting in silence putting my lipstick on. But yeah, this is my finished look, and that's just kind of Candyman in a nutshell. If you haven't seen it, please watch it before the next one comes out, because then, I mean, most horror films do not need to be remade unless they are really shit. But yeah, please check this out. It's still available to buy, like H&V, Amazon, I don't know, wherever you buy DVD or Blu-rays from. But yeah, this is my finished look. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, because I film and upload every time I get a chance to. And I feel there's 2 more horror movie Makeup Mondays coming up. So yeah, I'll be doing 2 more horror films, then I'll be going back to normal. But my normal is normally horror films. But yeah, don't forget to subscribe, because I love making videos and I really want to get to 100 by the end of this year, which is 2 months away. Almost done with this year, which is crazy. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you're well, I hope you're safe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys.